Adaptive Athletes, written by David Dreyer. Introduction. People have always admired athletes, particularly those special few who achieve a competitive level of ability in a sport. We admire natural talent, as well as an ability to compete and win under pressure. But even athletes gifted with superior talent must sharpen their skills with practice. Each athlete typically spends years developing the ability to run faster, swim farther, or throw a ball more accurately, always striving to be the best. Athletic skill comes in many different forms. Swimmers, runners, and basketball players are athletes. So are weightlifters, equestrians, or bicyclists. Many athletes who have a physical or mental disability are top competitors, too. For years, rules kept most of these disabled athletes from their highest goal, Olympic competition. The Paralympic Games brings them to center stage. In 1960, athletes with physical disabilities were able to compete in the first Parallel Olympics, or Paralympics. The participants in these games are known as adaptive athletes. Some adaptive athletes are missing arms or legs, while others must use wheelchairs for mobility. Some have limited vision or complete blindness. These elite athletes have shown that with desire and hard training, almost any physical limitation can be overcome. Even if you are in a wheelchair, you can compete and excel in many sports. The 2012 Paralympics, held in London, will put the talents of these outstanding adaptive athletes in the spotlight for all the world to see. History of the Paralympics. The idea of Olympic Games originated in ancient Greece, where athletic contests were held every 4 years from the 700s BC and perhaps earlier. The Games were stopped by a ruling Roman emperor in AD 393. More than 1,500 years later, the Olympics were officially revived. 241 athletes from 14 countries met in Athens, Greece, to compete in 43 events. The first Paralympics began about 50 years later. They grew out of a program in Great Britain to rehabilitate British veterans of World War II who had spinal injuries from combat. The program was the idea of a British neurologist, Sir Ludwig Guttmann. Guttmann's goal was to eventually make his competition into a prestigious event equivalent to the Olympics. That is exactly what happened. Nations around the world joined the Paralympics movement. The first official Paralympic Games were held in 1960 in Rome, Italy, just after the Rome Summer Olympics. Those 1960 Games included about 400 athletes from 23 nations. They competed in 8 events, including archery, fencing, swimming, and basketball. The Paralympics movement grew from there. Summer and Winter Paralympic Games have since been held every 4 years, usually in the same city as the Olympics. In 1989, the International Paralympic Committee, IPC, was founded in Germany to oversee the Paralympic movement and organize the Games. Its mission is to enable Paralympic athletes to achieve sporting excellence and inspire and excite the world. In 2001, the IPC forged an agreement with the International Olympic Committee, IOC. The two organizations ruled that the city hosting the Olympics would also host the Paralympics. This had already been done with 6 Paralympics, but the agreement now made it mandatory. The Paralympics has 6 categories of participation: amputee, cerebral palsy, intellectual disability, wheelchair, visual impairment, and les autres. The term autres is French for the others. This category includes athletes with disabilities that do not fall into the other 5 groups. Within each category, athletes are classified by relative ability to compete. A number of Paralympic athletes have distinguished themselves. Tricia Zorn, a blind American swimmer, is the most decorated Paralympian in history. From 1980 to 2004, she won 55 medals, 41 of them gold. The most decorated athlete in the Winter Games is polio patient Ragnhild Myklebust of Norway. In cross-country races, relays, the biathlon, and ice sledge racing from 1988 through 2002, she won 22 medals, 17 of them gold. The 2012 Summer Olympics and Paralympics in London. The 2012 London Paralympic Games will be a huge event, with more than 4,000 athletes from at least 150 countries participating. The dates for the Paralympic Games are August 29th through September 12th, after the Olympics conclude. Athletes will compete in 503 events in 21 sports. Bringing the Olympics and Paralympics to London was quite a competition in itself. In a lengthy bidding process, 9 rival cities were reduced to 5 finalists: London, Madrid, Moscow, New York, and Paris. For a while, it looked as though Paris was the frontrunner, with London in second place. But as the evaluations continued, London's chances of getting the Games gradually improved. In July 2005, the IOC conducted 4 ballots to decide the winner. The first 3 ballots eliminated Moscow, Madrid, and New York, leaving London and Paris. In the final ballot, London received 54 votes, with Paris getting 50. The Games were going to London. This would be the 3rd Olympics for London, but it would be its first time hosting the Paralympics. Londoners celebrated when they learned of their city's victory, but their jubilation had declined considerably by 2007 when they learned how much the Games were going to cost. The estimated total cost of constructing the venues and conducting the Games was about 9.3 billion British pounds, or about 14 billion US dollars. Of that amount, about 6 billion pounds, $9 billion, would be paid by the public with higher taxes. The Olympic and Paralympic Games use the same venues or facilities built in East London. The centerpiece of the venues is the new 80,000-seat Olympic Stadium located within an area called Olympic Park. The stadium is the setting for track and field events. Other new facilities in the Olympic Park include an aquatic center, a basketball arena, and a water polo arena. The 2.5 square kilometer, almost 1 square mile, Olympic Park was once an industrial area with contaminated soil. It has been transformed into a green setting for many of the Olympic and Paralympic events. Creation of the Olympic Park was part of a program to regenerate a rundown section of East London. The events. Athletes at the London Paralympic Games will compete in 503 events in 21 sports. Archery, athletics, bocce, lawn bowling, cycling, road, cycling, track, equestrian, soccer, 5 on a side, soccer, 7 on a side, goalball, judo, powerlifting, rowing, sailing, shooting, swimming, table tennis, sitting volleyball, wheelchair basketball, wheelchair fencing, wheelchair rugby, wheelchair tennis. At the top of their game, many inspiring stories can be told about the athletes who will participate in the 2012 London Paralympics. Here are just 4 of them. Esther Vergeer of the Netherlands, age 30, became paralyzed below the waist at the age of 8. She has been the world's top-ranked wheelchair tennis player since 1999. Since then, Vergeer has won 150 singles titles and many doubles titles. Wheelchair racer David Weir, age 32, is one of Great Britain's leading Paralympic athletes. Born disabled, he needed metal braces on his legs to walk, but later switched to a wheelchair. Soon, Weir got into wheelchair racing. He competed in the 2004 and 2008 Paralympics in Athens and Beijing and won 6 medals, 2 of them gold. In 2005, Tom Agar, age 27, of Great Britain, had a spinal injury that left him paralyzed in both legs. As part of his therapy, Agar took up competitive rowing. In world champion events, he won gold medals in 2007, 2009, 2010, and 2011. He also won a gold medal in the 2008 Beijing Paralympics. Natalie Dutoy, age 28, of South Africa, began competitive swimming at age 14. When she was 17, her left leg was amputated at the knee after she was hit by a car. She resumed swimming 3 months later. She competed at the 2004 Athens and 2008 Beijing Paralympics, winning 11 medals, 10 of them gold. Dutoy has the distinction of being the first amputee to compete in the regular Olympics. At the Beijing Games, she finished 16th in the women's 16-kilometer race. Oscar Pistorius. Perhaps the world's best-known Paralympian is South African sprinter Oscar Pistorius. Born without a fibula in either leg, Pistorius had both of his legs amputated below the knee when he was 11 months old. He runs on a pair of flexible carbon fiber blades molded around his knees. The 25-year-old Pistorius is known as the Blade Runner and the fastest man on no legs. Pistorius's events are the 100-meter, 200-meter, and 400-meter sprints. At the 2004 Paralympic Games in Athens, he won gold in the 200-meter race. In Beijing, he captured the gold medal in all 3 events. He holds the world record times for runners with disabilities for the 100-meter and 200-meter races. Pistorius's great ambition is to compete in the Olympics. Some athletic officials contend that his blades would give him an unfair advantage over other runners. In 2007, the organization that sets the rules for the Olympics banned the use of blades in Olympic competition. That prevented Pistorius from competing in the Beijing Olympics. Pistorius got the ruling overturned. He could run in the 2012 London Olympics as long as he achieved Olympic qualifying times by June of 2012. Pistorius may be a competitor in both the 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games. Pistorius's motto sums up the Paralympian philosophy. You're not disabled by the disabilities you have. You are able by the abilities you have. Blind athletes. Athletes who are partially sighted or blind participate in a number of Paralympic sports. The top sport for these Paralympians is goalball. It is the only sport in the Paralympics that is exclusively for athletes with limited eyesight. Each goalball team consists of 3 players. They stay within fixed boundaries and try to throw a large rubber ball into the opposing team's goal. Jingling bells inside the ball let the players know the location of the ball. All competitors must wear blackout masks so they cannot see at all. Sound is also used for track and field athletes who are blind or partially sighted. Spoken information, clapping, and electronic signals guide them. Whenever such sounds are being used in an event, the spectators are required to be absolutely silent. Runners also have guide runners who run in a lane next to them. The 2 runners are usually connected by a tether fastened loosely around their wrists. In addition to receiving cues from the tether, runners may be aided by verbal information from their guide runner. In track events longer than 400 meters, a runner can have 2 alternating guides. In cycling events, visually impaired athletes use a two-seat bicycle with a pilot in the front seat. The athlete pedals the bike and the pilot guides it. Guides are also used in another Paralympic sport, five-on-a-side soccer. Each team is allowed one guide who stands on the sidelines and shouts instructions to the players. The ball is equipped with a noise-making device so the players can locate it by sound. Swimming events use people called tappers, who stand at the ends of the pool holding a long pole. They use the pole to tap the swimmers as they approach the wall. All swimmers must wear blackened goggles so that partially sighted swimmers do not have an advantage. Exoskeletons. A device called an exoskeleton could give many people with disabilities an option for mobility. It could someday play a part in the Paralympics. An exoskeleton is a powered metal framework that surrounds the body or a part of it. The power can be provided by a small gasoline engine or a battery pack. Full-body exoskeletons are being developed by the military for use by soldiers. The exoskeleton would enable the wearer to wield large weapons or carry heavy loads while running or climbing stairs. Exoskeletons have other potential uses as well, such as allowing rescue workers to lift heavy debris. Some exoskeletons are designed for the lower part of the body. Sometimes called robotic legs, they are designed to make it possible for people with paraplegia who can't use their legs to walk. In 2011, a medal-winning Paralympic track and field athlete, Dave McCalman of New Zealand, purchased a set of robotic legs. McCalman had lost the use of his legs due to a spinal cord injury. With his $150,000 battery-powered robotic legs, McCalman took his first steps in more than 30 years. Perhaps robotic legs will someday be a common sight at the Paralympics. Critical thinking. What do you think would be the pros and cons of allowing athletes with robotic legs to compete in future Paralympic competitions? Achieving excellence. From their humble beginnings in 1948, the Paralympics have grown to rival the Olympics in their scope. The Paralympic Games, just like the Olympic Games, offer an inspiring look at the human spirit at its best. The Games showcase top athletes achieving excellence in sports. Paralympic athletes are living proof of Oscar Pistorius' motto. They have not been disabled by their disabilities. They have been made able by their abilities. Those abilities will shine at the London 2012 Paralympic Games.